Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tech Loft podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Sony PlayStation Classic, some Nintendo news, Microsoft news, as well as a few other little tidbits of information that I'd like to share with the listeners. Now, before I begin, I'd like to remind everyone that you can follow us on our website at thetechloft.com, our Twitter, which is at thetechloft, as well as subscribing to our podcast feed, where you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and that's just to name a few. So if you enjoy this series of the podcast, please subscribe to the show and give us some feedback so we can incorporate it into our content. So let's start off with the PlayStation Classic. So there was this past weekend, which was November 10 and 11th, 2018, there was people that got to test drive the PlayStation Classic, which is going to be released December 3rd of 2018. Positive, the reviews were so-so. I'm not going to get into the reviews, but I mean, people were complaining basically, the games list was so-so, as well as the, when you're playing the video game, you've got a black border around the game that you're playing, where on the Nintendo Classic and Super Nintendo Classic, you actually had borders you can customize and change just to fill in that void, dark space, as well as there's a lack of video. I'm going to call them video effects, like scan lines and resolution settings, like perfect pixel, just like the Nintendo Classic systems had. But an interesting note is that Sony, it's been found out that Sony used an open source emulator called PCSX Rearmed to basically emulate their games. So it's not something that they developed in-house. They just found an open source emulator and incorporated it into their PlayStation Classic console. A lot of people are calling it lazy, and I guess it is. They're kind of cutting corners. But let's move on to some Nintendo news. Head of gaming at YouTube, Ryan Wyatt, recently tweeted that the YouTube app is now available on Nintendo Switch, and it also supports 360-degree videos. And you can download this today from the Nintendo eShop, and or US gamers can download the app from Nintendo's website. Now, also, Netflix is announcing that they've stopped offering the app on Nintendo Wii consoles, so those users on the Wii may not be able to view Netflix anymore off that console. Now, one other bit of information. This has to do with the N64 rumor. People are speculating that it's supposed to be coming out really soon. They've said, we're hoping to hear something November. We're midway through November, so still no word. Anything that's like Nintendo 64 related, they're using it as rumor news. Now, there is a video game analyst by the name of Matt Pescatella, and he published a top 10 Nintendo 64 video game list. And topping the list is Super Mario 64, and going all the way down to number 10 is GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, Zelda Ocarina Time, Pokemon Stadium, Donkey Kong, Star Fox, Super Smash Brothers, Diddy Kong Racing, Star Wars: Shadow of the Empire, and since they've since they've seen that a video game speculator has posted this, then news of an N64 Classic is bound to show up. But still no word from Nintendo. Everything's still hush. So we're still waiting on that information. Now, let's move over to some Microsoft news. Now, Microsoft had an event this weekend, and what we've found out is that they have been gobbling up a lot of high-profile developers. And just to name a couple of them is Obsidian Entertainment. They're the makers of Fallout New Vegas, as well as In Exile Entertainment, who publish Wasteland 2. Now, since the Xbox One landed in 2013, Microsoft has faced criticism for not having enough exclusive games on the platform. Now, this is true, a factor that may have claimed an early sales victory for the PlayStation 4. So, when the next generation consoles release in 2020, Microsoft Studios is stockpiling developers, actively publicly priming the next Xbox for plenty of exclusive experiences. Well, I hope PlayStation, Sony has some things up their sleeve, because it looks like Microsoft is indeed trying to get a lot of publishers under their belt for exclusive titles. Also, Microsoft announced that the Xbox game app is available on iOS and Android. So now you can browse titles off the app, download them to your console, so when you get home, you'll have your games ready to play. And also, Microsoft has partnered with Razer. They're going to be creating an exclusive keyboard and mouse for the Xbox One, which will be under the Designed for Xbox brand. So you'll be able to play with a keyboard and mouse on your Xbox One. And on top of that, support for a keyboard and mouse, so you don't have to buy the Designed for Microsoft version. You can probably get away with using your own keyboard and mouse for the Xbox One when that update releases in the next week or so. We have some Minecraft news. So Minecraft are announcing that cats and pandas are coming to Minecraft. Microsoft released a new trailer this past weekend showing off new pandas and cats they're going to be arriving in the next update. So I know that you can feed bamboo to pandas. Not sure what cats you can feed cats. It is going to be happening in the next update, but no word when that update is coming. And finally, something that I've read that is not exactly video game related, but it does affect your subscriptions to video game services, but not just video game services, basically anything that is used for your personal entertainment. So Chicago is introducing an amusement tax. So this means that if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, Netflix, Spotify, you will be taxed basically for enjoying yourself. Personally, I think this is the most ridiculous move. So anything that is meant for enjoyment or having fun, you'll be taxed. So if you don't want to have fun, you don't worry about it. You won't have to pay the tax on these services. But I find it absolutely stupid that Chicago has introduced an amusement tax where you have to basically pay for your personal enjoyment. Pay extra. This is where government is getting a little out of hand and really, really trying to get into your pockets and steal your wealth. But anyways, that's this week's episode of the Tech Loft podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed those updates. Subscribe if you liked what you hear. It's not a big production. I try to keep it under 10 minutes long so it doesn't bore you, but just gives you enough details where, it's something like, oh, you know what, let me look that up. And, and I can get more information on it. Anyways, folks, don't forget you can subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platforms like Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as reach out to us on Twitter at The Tech Loft. And we also have a website where you can catch some other posts, articles, and listing of our podcast shows. Anyways, folks, thanks for listening, and ciao for now.